Well, tonight we have a guest over Zoom here to talk about the Kiwi organisation International Needs. Inspired by the love that is found through Jesus Christ, International Needs is a worldwide mission supporting agency that supports local nationals in spreading God's love and message of salvation to the world. They're a Christian organisation that aims to help people in the world who are in the greatest of need, regardless of race, religion, gender or nationality.
And who better to give an idea of what they do than their Executive Director, Shaun Sutcliffe, here over Zoom. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Hello, how are you?
Great.
Wonderful that you could join us. Thanks for your time, Shaun. Well, let's start off explaining a little bit about, in your own words, what International Needs is all about.
Yeah, thank you. What an amazing opportunity. So International Needs was formed in 1974, right here in New Zealand by a gentleman called Ray Harrison. And Ray had a vision to empower local Indigenous leaders to spread God's love and the gospel message of Jesus Christ to their own people, because he felt that local Indigenous leaders don't face cultural barriers. They don't face the same things as what a Westerner would necessarily face as an overseas missionary. So that's how International Needs was birthed, by providing support to these leaders to spread the gospel. The second hand of International Needs then became the humanitarian component, to say, whilst it's great that we're sharing the gospel and we're sharing the message of Jesus, there was also a dire need of children that need to get educated, women to go through training of some form of vocational skill sets, providing fresh water and health initiatives. And so the organisation was birthed, and it continues to grow in many different development areas and service areas as well.
Great. There's a saying, you can't share the gospel of Jesus if people have a hungry tummy. I see you guys, made a massive impact last year. Can you tell us some of the major achievements that occurred last year?
Yeah, look, 2021 was still an ongoing challenge, not just for International Needs, but for many aid and development and Christian organisations. COVID clearly had a large impact. If we recall, towards the earlier half of the year, the devastation it was wreaking havoc around mainly India and other parts of the subcontinent of Asia. And so, that was a big achievement for International Needs, enabling some of our partners in India to actually help with locals to distribute food and also to invest into people, because a lot of these people lost their livelihoods as well. Some of the other achievements in Burkina Faso in Western Africa, International Needs was instrumental. It was actually approached by local authorities to take children and families that were forced out of their homes by some of the extremists up in the northern part of the country. And so we're helping some of these children and families through the International Needs schools that are over there. But also a great achievement and milestone for us was continuing to keep children educated in a lot of the countries that International Needs operates in. We still fervently believe that education is the cornerstone of seeing lives transformed, as well as lifting people out of those bonds of poverty. So it was wonderful to be able to keep kids back in school or through online learning, giving them the ability to have some kind of normality in a bit of an abnormal world.
Shaun, incredible work in many countries around the world, actually in 21 or over 21 countries you're in. Where are you seeing the greatest needs this year?
Yeah, so look, International Needs is actually present in about 36 nations around the world. New Zealanders, we support over 21 of these countries. So we do that a little bit above our weight grade. And right now, what we're seeing is clearly the need in Eastern Europe with this crisis with Ukraine. We're supporting partners in Romania and Slovakia, where we have offices over there that are helping to provide simple aid like clothing, food, shelter, transportation, but also with the poverty line continuing to extend and increase. We're seeing needs right across areas of Bangladesh and Nepal and other parts of Africa. And what we're looking at is we're wanting to say, whilst poverty is increasing, how can we best help these people? How can we empower them through livelihood programs, but also at the same time, continuing to extend that arm of who Jesus is and how real God can be in their lives as well.
Yeah, big challenges in the world at the moment. What would you say is the biggest struggle facing international needs currently?
I would say, look, the biggest struggle for international needs is still the outworking of some of the programs. COVID did have a little bit of an impact on some projects, like it does here in New Zealand, with just trying to get things through. But I would say the biggest struggle also is, I think a lot of New Zealanders have a heart to give, and we want to keep encouraging them. There are questions that people want to have answers to, and, international needs, our values is that, we are accountable to every dollar that comes through to our doors, that we make sure that it goes to the initiatives and the programs. And we want to make sure that, we are helping other people out there in the world that are struggling. And they all have their own individual struggles, to be fair.
Shaun, it's incredible work that International Needs is doing, and you've indicated the challenges there too. And when you're confronted with the challenges, that can impact your faith. So, how has working at International Needs impacted your faith?
Oh, that's a great question, Cathy. Look, I think the question around how it's impacted my faith, I would say, if anything, it's enhanced it. You can look here from a Western lens, and we watch the news and we see things and we go, what's going on in the world there, God? What are people doing? And when we actually see the stories and we talk to our partners in these different countries, we are seeing that things are being done. We're seeing so many people coming to know God. We're supporting, for example, crusades in Burkina Faso, reaching unreached people groups around that nation. Thousands of people coming to know God and hearing the gospel message for the first time. We're seeing refugees coming through to Egypt and being impacted. Muslims across that whole North African region actually listening and understanding, what is the message that Jesus brings. And so when you see that and you see the outworking of these people, and you think, God is working. God is doing something absolutely amazing. One of my favorite stories, if I can share, was during this period of COVID in Bangladesh. One of our local national ministry workers who we support was actually just out there giving food, which New Zealanders provided support for, to these local villages. And he noticed these two children. They were just digging through the rubbish. And he realized that these children were different. They weren't necessarily very similar to the kids the village where he was working. And he followed them a little bit further along the track, and realized that these kids were actually from a nomadic tribe. They were indigenous Bengali people, and they also had no social status. So they were afraid that this worker was actually in a local authority, and he was going to report them and help and get them moved on. But what he actually did is he said, no, I'm actually here to help you. I want to help you. What is the need? And so as they started to uncover and realized who the small people group were, the needs were great. It was not only food, but also, as providing simple things like hygiene. But from that, he was able to actually share the gospel. Now, this is a tribe of people that have never even heard the name of Jesus before. And now, not only is there a small little church there whereby they've actually established and set up, some of the kids in that village are actually now being given the opportunity to go to school. And what excites me is that this is the first generation of this people group that has been educated, that has had an opportunity to hear the gospel, and that has actually felt the love of Jesus, which is extended through the arms of these people that we're supporting.
Wow, that's an amazing story, and really reaching out to, as you say, somebody who's never heard the gospel before. In a local organisation making such a big impact. Now, if people are watching from home and they'd love to get behind the ministry, how can they do that, Shaun?
Yeah, look, we'd love to hear from you. I love being able to catch up with people and share the story. I've got lots more stories to tell about the work that International Needs is involved in. And the best way to get in touch with us is go on our Facebook page, message us that way, look up International Needs New Zealand, or go to our website, which is innz.org.nz. Or even just call our office. Our phone number's all over the Facebook and the website. Our staff and our team are fantastic, and they'd love to connect with people that have a heart for people overseas, especially if they have a heart for people that they believe they need to hear the gospel message. and they want to help them.
Shaun, thanks so much for making the time to have a chat with us. Really interesting to hear about the work, and really great to hear about a New Zealand organisation fulfilling the commission of Jesus Christ, transforming lives, families and communities. And for those at home wanting to know more, you can visit the website, that's INNZ, that's innz.org.nz, where you can learn more and find out about how you can get behind the ministry.